Hi, Lynn Zettler here from Core Impact Coaching, and today we're talking about the Core Values Index and the merchant. So again, if you're a leader and you're wondering why some people just don't understand the communications that you're giving, or people get upset because you didn't maybe you didn't communicate with them the way they wanted to be communicated. Today we're going to talk about the merchants, the people where relationships are most important, and you might have some of these people on your team. So the Core Values Index is the assessment that will measure the innate unchanging nature of your team members and help you determine number one, how to communicate best with them, and also for them to understand how their communications with others are affected by their merchant nature, and also if they're in the right place for a merchant. Are they in the right role for a merchant? So as you might remember, each of us has a unique recipe of core values according to the core value assessment. And each area, each one of the core values, you could score a total of 36. And so between that and the other four things that we're measuring, there are over 10 octillion possibilities. So many possibilities for each individual. It's a 97.7% reliability rate, which is much better than the Myers-Briggs, much easier to understand. That's why I like it so much. It's been validated down to the 5th grade level. It's been used in education systems actually to help teachers understand their students as well as parents to understand their students. So as you might remember, there are 4 different core values that we all share. The names of these came from early societies where you had your builders, you had your merchants, who were the people in the marketplace, your innovators, those people who are very inventive, and your bankers, your conservators. Today we're going to talk about the merchant, the people who are really driven through relationships and vision. So again, really important to look at our definitions here. The merchant's core value is love, which what we mean by that is working toward an inspired vision of what can be by nurturing the core values in oneself and in others. Merchants contribute in a huge way to their teams through their relationships, and they're great visionaries. They look at the great possibilities that can be achieved. Lots of ideas of what those visions might look like. So they like to talk and listen. They like to have these conversations about possibilities, about creative solutions and problem solving, and also about being supportive of one another. Making sure that relationships are never damaged in the process. Now, they're catalyzed further with their core value through truth, seeing things the way they are. A merchant will be very suspicious if things don't seem quite right, if someone's not completely being truthful or transparent. That tends to bother a merchant and doesn't allow them to keep working towards an inspired vision, and that can get in the way. So when that happens, of course, that's when the anxiety sets in, and that's when fear sets in, that they are not working towards their vision. They're not able to do that any longer, and so then merchants tend to go into manipulation, meaning that they're going to try to change people's behavior or what they're doing so that they get what they're trying to achieve. So merchants can sometimes be very sensitive about this. When I tell them that manipulation is their conflict strategy, they are offended. A merchant is the most loving person on the planet until they're not. They can be very judgmental. They can get very hurt. So they don't understand, I would never do that to someone, so why are they doing that to me, kind of thing, because they're thinking about relationships. How would they behave in that relationship? But they don't realize that others aren't wired that way and don't think about the relationship first. So it's a different way of thinking for people who are not merchants. So when they're really contributing to things, when they're at their highest level and they're doing what they love, They're working towards that inspired vision and developing those wonderful relationships, having those conversations. That's their contribution to a team. Who doesn't love being around people like that, right? But when they are taking away, when they're pulling in, when they're pulling from others, taking from others, that's when they're in their manipulation strategy. Important things to know about a merchant. Something a merchant might say is, just think of the possibilities. You know, there's so much we could do. We could do this, we could do this. As I said, they're very, very idea generators of a sort. And also, if someone does not have a high merchant score, it doesn't mean that they're not successful in relationships. It just means that that's not the first thing they think of when they're looking at a situation. So certainly there are people with low merchant scores who have successful relationships, marriages, you know, friendships, and all of that. So we want to be careful in how we are describing this. How will this assessment help the merchants on your team? Well, it'll help them gain understanding of why others behave differently than they do, and hopefully help prevent them from getting offended so easily. They are going to learn other methods of communication to be more successful other than manipulation, and they're going to understand why innovators and bankers have that need to ask so many questions, as well as understanding builders who just want to take action and get results, right, without thinking of the relationships. It's also going to have give them more effective ways of dealing with conflict. So what's the best way to help your merchants? Well, engage us. Engage Core Impact Coaching. We'll provide the assessments, again, only $50 per person. We'll help you with a 2-hour interactive workshop with your team so that they all get to learn about this and have this common language that they can use about what their core values are and what their needs and conflict strategies are. And then we'll review those CVI results with all the team members. We'll make sure they all receive their full results, which includes a full video of their core values and who they are. And we'll also follow up with coaching to integrate the new learnings that the team has. So I hope you learned more about merchants today. Here's our contact information. Please check out the website. There's always a lot more information there. And I just hope that you've learned to understand a little bit more about what it means to be a merchant and to have relationships and vision be your most important ideal.